We must find the originator. We must save the sister.
Exile, do something!
Do what I say. Take this. The void protects its children. Grip of the infinite.
Morning guys, Moorhuhn here. Today we are going to talk about my Bladefall of Trarthus Blade Blast Manor Hierophant. Before that, I have to say sorry because I said I would make this video about 2 weeks ago and I kinda lost track because I was somewhat distracted. But let's not look at that. And I kinda lost fun in the league, and yeah, but ultimately I should have made the video way sooner and apologize for that. I did just migrate out of our private league because, well, the league is over and I now have points and stuff like that. But yeah, we are going to talk about pretty much everything I want to talk about the character. We're going to deep very dive. What am I saying even? We're going to take a look at pretty much everything. First of all, I want to talk about how the build plays for those that have not seen it, and for that we quickly do a Redeemer map, and I'll just show pretty much how the character plays. I have done all Ubers on this character, I have done tier 17s, and you probably have seen some footage of it already because I probably did put it in the intro or something. But yeah, for now we'll just run through here. Did we actually just get a memory tier? That's insane. Wow. Basically what you're doing is at the beginning of the map, you are activating Bladefall of Trarthus. Bladefall of Trarthus consumes mana per second. This is a percentage of the mana, of your total mana. It is 5% multiplied by your mana multiplier and then reduced by reduced mana cost and whatever. Basically just how other spells work as well, but it's a cost per second. This is the main cost we are using, which means that we have a very big mana pool that we are not using all that much, aside from our automatically cast spells, which we later talk about. Then we have Blade Blast, which consumes like 2k mana, but still we have like a lot, so it does not mean all that much, which means that we have a very, very nice source of sustain through Ivory Tower, which means that all of the chaos damage basically is ignored, so we just don't care about chaos damage on the character, which is very cool. Then you just run through, and at times you have a lot of damage on the Bladefall because your automation would trigger the Arcane Cloak, and sometimes you don't. But usually you just use Blade Blast, then run through, activate Blade Blast, and everything dies. This pretty much worked right from the get-go. I did levels slightly different, but as soon as I had a lot of mana and as soon as we did have the skill, I swapped into it, and this was my league starter of the league. So very, very cool character, went from 0 to hero with it, and that's pretty much it. When you have enemies around or bosses, you just walk around them and activate your Blade Blast, and that will detonate the bosses. And then on bigger bosses, what you can do is use the Arcanist brand. Arcanist brand here is linked with Ethereal Knives of Lingering Blades, greater multiple projectiles and returning projectiles. This means that the brand will shoot out projectiles. Oh my god, my voice. And these projectiles will return to your location. This means no matter where they are triggered, they always return to you and, well, land in a fairly small radius, which means that when you want to deal a lot of damage on bosses, for example, you want to sit right on the boss. This is why we need quite a hit pool. Then you activate your buffs, pop your flask, and then press Blade Blast, and the boss is gone. this basically is how the character plays. You run around and then sometimes press Blade Blast. I can quickly take out the MTX here. I really like it, but it makes it difficult to see how big the Blade Blasts actually are. We turn the saw blades for that. Here you can see it really well. That especially when we don't have our Intensify stacks, which we are running up to 4 of, then you can really clear the map very well. And a cool part of this is that the Blade Blasts just travel with you. Like when you're running through the area, or through mobs, that the Blade Blasts just travel with you for a while. Like this makes for a very chill playstyle because you just run through. And yeah, I don't have a lot of movement speed on this character, but you could play it with a lot more if you had like a mage butt or something. But yeah, you basically can just run and everything around you explodes. But I've shown that before, but I think with the saw blade, it's just much more visible, like the effect. But I played with the saw blade for weeks, so I kind of wanted to change there. So I swapped it out. Then the same for like these guys. You just take a look and then you explode them. Yeah, sometimes you need 2 clicks, but yeah. One of the worst part about the character probably is that the damage sometimes is kind of inconsistent when your blades just don't hit or you don't crit. Because if you don't crit, all of the blades will not crit, because this is one cast of Blade Blast. And the crit is determined at the beginning of the cast. So if this crits, everything will crit. If this does not crit, nothing will crit. So especially against Ubers, sometimes you just chunk them for like 80% HP, and sometimes they barely lose 10. And that can be very frustrating, but well, it's how these builds kind of play out, right? So yeah, this is basically how the character plays. A very cool playstyle, very enjoyable. I had a lot of fun with it and enjoyed it through the entire league. I did play a couple of different characters, but this one was the one I was always coming back to, and yeah. So let's take a look at what the character actually does. And for that, we take a look at the skills first. I've talked about some already. Blade Blast is our main damage skill, linked with Arcane Surge, Archmage, Increase Area, Critical Damage, and Intensify. Increased area should be an Awaken increased area, obviously, but I don't have that because Private League. And then when your mercenary dies, you swap in an Awaken Lightning Penetration because your damage basically does not exist. Then you can put in Concentrated Effect as well, or increase critical strikes if you don't have great crit yet. All of these are good replacements, and yeah. Also, I currently don't use a curse, so Assassin's Mark would be very strong on bosses, but I kinda link starved, and I didn't really want to take anything out, and then I swapped my Watcher's Eyes to something that wanted clarity. Where is my Watcher's Eye? Where did I put you? There. Maximum mana has extra energy shield, and that's why I did not take out clarity later on, because yeah, we are losing like 2k energy shield when we take that out. So that was kind of bad, but you can put an Assassin's Mark or the other one, the red one, how it's called, Punishment, very good curse as well. But all of the elemental curses are useless because we are running Doyani's mercenary, as everybody does, but I'll talk about the mercenary in a moment later. Then we have our secondary damage, which is Ethereal Knives of Living Blades, GMP, Returning Projectiles, and Arcanist Brand. As said, very cool setup. Especially against bosses, you can put in Runebinder as well, which makes for a lot of like a lot more projectiles, because then for the attached brand, cast speed actually is very strong. So there you have a lot of casts if they are attached to the boss. Then we have Bladefall of Trarthus with Frost Shield, Inspiration, Culling Strike. You could probably take out Culling Strike here if you get Culling Strike through a Megalomaniac, for example, or through other means, through Mercenary or whatever, and then put the Assassin's Mark there, or just put the Assassin's Mark there anyways, because Culling Strike is less damage increased than Assassin's Mark, but I didn't really need it and didn't want to be bothered. Then we have a Flame Dash, we have Eternal Blessing with Purity of Elements here. Wait. Did I take that out? Why are you there? Wait, I'm confused. Why are you there? I'm pretty sure I activated something different. Why are you there? What? Wait, I'm confused now. That should not be Purity of Elements. It should be something else. Because Purity of Elements is very bad, very, very bad when you are running a Diana's Mercenary. I'm so confused right now. I was 100% sure I detected that out. Wait, let's take a look at the PoE. I detect determination. Where's my determination? What is happening? Because I've got 4k armor. What is this? Okay. Yeah, let's not talk about that. That's interesting. Wow. I kind of messed up my damage there for some reason, and I was wondering why simulacrums felt though so bad. Why did I swap back to... Huh? I did specifically craft my boots to not need this. And where is my determination? I'm so confused. Well, 1 second. We're getting back to the build in just a moment, but I have to figure this out. I've got a level 21. This is my determination. Did I... I remember. We were running... I was running Risk Scarabs, and due to Reflect, I do think I took Purity of Elements, because if I would gain Ailment Reflection and shock myself, I would die from Reflect, and that's why I did put in Purity of Elements and never took it out. That explains so much. That's insane. Like, I've done Simulacrum like last week because I was finishing up some challenges and was like, I don't know, this felt better like a week prior, and yeah, this does make sense. Let's actually quickly check how much armor we are gaining here. We still are resistance cap, that's fine. So I am so confused. Yeah, we are getting like 6k armor from this, and I probably would run an armor flask here if I had a mage blood. Okay, back on track. We have an Eternal Blessing Determination setup, and then in the helmet we run Sigil of Power, a Discipline, Clarity, Arrogance setup to reserve all our life. This basically reserves pretty much everything. Could put a point more into Clarity, but and that doesn't matter. When I reach level 100, I think I didn't level up, but I do think I never leveled up from like level 89 or something, 98 or something. And then we have Arcane Cloak, Brand Recall, and Automation. For big bosses, you do kinda want to have your Arcane Cloak lined up with your big damage spike, especially for Ubers. It's kind of important because your damage goes up dramatically. When we take a look at Blade Blast here, we go from 135k to 230k, so it basically does double our damage. So you really want to sync your boss damage with Arcane Cloak, and that's another thing that's kind of annoying sometimes, especially when you like don't have Arcane Cloak on and then don't crit. You basically deal no damage, which can feel very bad. But yeah, this much about the links. Overall, I'm very pleased with how that turned out, and didn't really feel like changing much aside from probably taking Assistance Mark, which I showed on some of the Uber kills. Then let's take a quick look at the mercenary. I'm running a very classical Doyani mercenary, though with kinda bad gear due to self-found or group-found restrictions. Running a Jinx Juju here. This should be how it's called. You can run a Jinx Juju for like bossing or like high damage, but generally you do want why is this not in here? This is crazy. I've made this list so carefully and didn't put in the most important amulet. Am I stupid? PoE list of unique amulets. Recover. Fuck you. Madam, where is it? Defiance of Destiny. Wait. No, it's not in there. How did I miss that? Okay, you should use the Defiance of Destiny on the mercenary when you're running like tier 17 or tier 16 and a half high juice maps, because this one makes the mercenary somewhat immortal. And then we are running 2 rings with minus lightning resistance, very basic stuff. We're running gloves with unnerve on hit because I wanted to change my gloves away from unnerve to something else. What did I want? I think resistances. I wanted to put in maximum resistances just to get a little bit more tanky and put unnerve onto the gloves. You can get very, very cool mercenary gloves you can make. Just so quick side quest here. What you can do is, where is it? Elevated culling? No, not I mean you can elevate it, but culling strike plus elevated unnerve on hit, because elevated unnerve is no chance anymore. So when you have elevated unnerve and culling strike on your mercenary, you then also can take out the culling strike out of your Bladefall of Trarthus setup and put in the Assassin's Mark, but we didn't have the elevation orbs and we didn't have the awakeners orbs and everything, so I didn't make those. So yeah, that's what you kind of want to use for the glove slot. There's other options, but that's a very, very cool glove slot you can use for the mercenary. Then we have boots that fix resistances primarily. We have Tattoo to Puana for his effective auras. Jinx Juju with Zeologic Corruption, as I said, you should use the other amulet. Then you have a helmet with nearby enemies take increased elemental damage and Warcry area. I did take Warcry area here because I had a worse version of the Von Reverend earlier with Warcry and Zeolotry. Now I'm running Wrath and Zeolotry, which did also free up the aura slot. If you don't have this, you would, instead of Determination, run either Wrath or Zeolotry in the aura slot here. Then we have a wand with Wrath aura effect, and I'm running a String of Servitude with Wrath effect. Here you could use something else as well, but I do very much like the increased aura effect here. So this one has like 140% increased aura effect for Wrath, so to total like 240 or something in that direction. Also, I'm not running Anointment here because, well, limited oils and stuff like that, but you kind of want Presence, I do think was the one everybody was using. Like, there's a couple of good anointments here. You can just take a look at the list and pick from there. Very, very good ones. But that much about the mercenary. Basically, you just want to Von Reverend, Rusty, Lottery, as I said, very, very strong. Then let's take a look at the actual items of the character. After that, we're taking a look at the skill tree, and if I remember something else, then I will do that as well. For the items, let's take a look at the weapon. For the weapon, you want a mana fracture or something in that direction, or just a weapon with a lot of mana, spell damage, lightning damage. Cast is strong, increased crit is strong, crit multi is strong. Something in this direction. There's a lot of options here, but you don't really want gem levels as those don't scale well with Archmage. Just lots of stats on your weapon here. Then for the body armor, you're running an ivory tower. Increased explicit defense is strong here, just so you're gaining a little bit more energy shield from it. And that's basically it, nothing too special here. You could corrupt it for levels or for damage, for whatever, but yeah, I didn't have enough of them to double corrupt them properly, so yeah. Then we have a Mind Spiral. Again, you could use a corruption here. This is a very strong helmet. There are better rares, but very hard to craft and nothing in the means of a private league. And Mind Spiral, well, is sufficient for Uber browsing and also does give like a lot of energy shield. We're getting like nearly 3k energy shield from the Mind Spiral, so very, very strong here. Then we have a shield. The most important part is recover energy shield when you block, and then it has just a lot of energy shield. Nothing too special here, just fossil spammed into Shaper Reforge, I do think, something in that force. For the amulet, we are running a Cirrus Foible. Very unspectacular. There are better simplexes out there, but yeah, those are very rare and very expensive. For the gloves, we are running increased damage for fits against chilled enemies. For this, you need some form of cold damage or chilled ground or something in the direction, but Frost Shield does chill enemies inside. So that is enough for bosses to trigger your increased damage against chilled enemies. Then you want intelligence, energy shield, mana, resistances, and I have the increased damage during flask effect mod on it because, well, I was going for, well, bossing later on. Also, I'm running the while enemy in your presence or while unique enemies in your presence increase effect of marks. You could go with Pinnacle, increase effect of mark, and then you should actually probably use Assassin's Mark as well if you run increased mark effect on your gloves. And then Unnerve, but I explained earlier, we want to get rid of Unnerve later on. Then we have a belt with mana, resistances, and nothing special enough to, well, talk about. And yeah, this really should be a Mage Blood. If you want to run this at a decent budget, you want to run a Mage Blood. Then for the boots, we run movement speed, avoid being chilled, avoid being frozen, fire resistance, or just some resistances, and intelligence. I don't even have mana on these, which is a tragedy, but we have 6 energy shield, which is very good. If you want to make these in trade, you would, instead of the prefixes, run the essence craft, avoid being shocked, and avoid being shocked in the implicit. And then just use a Storm Shroud. I sadly did not have a Storm Shroud in my league, but yeah, basically you would always want to run a Storm Shroud. There really isn't anything against it. Like, Storm Shroud is just too good. Then for the rings, we have one fairly generic Cerulean ring with some mana, resistances, increased damage, nothing too special here. It has mana with life regeneration, but this one really is not good. The really good one is this one, that's a fractured increased mana, and currently the prices are kind of crazy on these, which is kind of dumb because they're really easy to make if you have access to trade. These are priced at like 150 divines, but this is insane. Like, if you just check Faustus and go for Fracture Ops, you see that they're at 8 divs. So it's a 1 in 4, which means we have about 32 divines, which already is kind of more because it's at 8 and it's slightly below, but it doesn't matter. Let's say 32 divines on average. And then you have to get the mana mod on a Cerulean ring. So what do you need for that? Well, you need an unfractured mana mod at 15. And these are listed at 3, 4, 5 divines already, but these are fail fractures. And already nonsense, because when we take a look at these mods, yeah, we should pick a ring here. We have 40 chaos, 50 chaos, 100 chaos, but actually, I mean, there's not so many on the market for some reason, because, well, Delph isn't all too popular, but this is a Delph mod, and all you have to do is push it over to a Cerulean base, which, when you take a look at the mods and play a bit around with recombinators and stuff, this shouldn't take more than, well, 3, 4, 5 maybe bases, which means you are in a range of like 1 divine per ring. maybe 2 divines per ring. Of course, the supply here is not all that crazy, but like there are 300 offline. I'm recording at a very bad time for the market, so yeah, you can see these are snipeable for very cheap. And you should basically get them for free, so what you're looking at is about 35 divines maybe. If you're unlucky, probably 50 or 60, but this still is way below what the market currently wants for like the fractured ones. So yeah, way easier to make than buying them. Then I just spammed for the suffixes with the crit essence. I went for dexterity here. There were a couple of hits I could do. Dexterity was one of the better. Then we went with veiled Exalted Orb. I do think I did use. Yeah, I did use a veiled Exalted Orb here, and got my Frenzy Charge. You could run with Veiled Chaos as well, which would be way cheaper in trade, but we didn't really mind the cost because private league things. But yeah, you have, like, Veiled Chaos very cheap. Oh my god, that's a remove all the tip. And then I did White Bristle Matron, Score, Craft, Energy Shield, I do think, and then Slam X. If I didn't hit mana, I would White Bristle Matron, Score, Craft, Energy Shield, Slam X until I did hit a tier 2 mana. I did aim for tier 1, but tier 2 is fine. And that's how this one was created. Kinda easy to make. Not all that expensive. You should be able to make one of these within like 60 divines probably. And yeah, should be very doable. However, you need some crafting know-how and how to do everything, so yeah. It's a ring, that's for sure. And then for the flasks, not too special. A Bottled Faith, an Atir's Promise, a Diamond Flask with Grit, a Quicksilver movement speed, and a Silver Flask with increased effect of reduced effect of curses on you, which I don't even know why I have that. But it should be armor instead, so yeah. That much about the flasks. As I said, you would probably run Mage Blood, and instead of the Atir's Promise, you would then use, how it's called, the, you know what I mean, Armor Flask, Granite something, and go up to like 30k armor or something in that direction. Probably like 20 to 30k with proper gear. So then let's take a look at the tree. The tree is not too special as well. We're just traveling around, taking all of the mana nodes, all of the good ones. Skipping some of the bad ones. Like here we are only taking the big righteous decree, not the small ones, because we don't really care about the mana cost too much. Here I did take out Dreamer and reduce cost of skill. So overall, we're just having a big mana pool that only cares about chaos damage because we're not running Mind Over Matter, so only chaos damage hits our mana pool. So we don't need too much mana regeneration, and we don't care about if the costs are a little higher, because we don't spam our Blade Blast. This makes no sense. We just use it once and then we're good. On bosses, what you can do is tap a bit to stack up your intensity and then use it once on the boss. But if you're bossing, you should probably run +1 intensity here in the caster mastery. Also, what you can do is cut off this here and go through this. If you want to run the jewels, I forgot the names of. I have them closely. Find them. Unique there. If you want to run something in this direction with intelligence and mana or something, is split personality, then if you cut off here and go here, you have very far nodes here, so you get a lot of value out of these here. But I'm running openness and stubborn student here for more armor, and yeah, so it didn't matter to me if I had these or these, and I then decided for these for some reason. Here's a Jewel Socket also that you could pick, but generally these builds that want all the mana nodes on the tree don't have a lot of points left for some reason. But if you would want to run a split personality, you would take out a small cluster jewel and then could take out this, which you probably would want to do anyways, because then you can run the Storm Shroud, which currently would not fit in because we have the Light of Meaning and Unnatural Instinct combination. I don't know how expensive these are here actually. Yeah, so these are very cheap. So, well, actually, does it put the mana in? Does that work? Should, right? But yeah, mana shouldn't be that expensive. Energy Shield was the expensive one. So yeah, that doesn't really matter too much in the costs. And then we have a Watcher's Eye with, currently I'm running Increased Leech, Zealotry, mana is extra, Clarity and unaffected by elemental weakness while affected by Purity of Elements. But the third one I'm not really using. I was running a different one earlier. Maybe I find it, but generally you just want good ones. Like that. There are a lot of options for the Watcher's Eye, but the gain mana as extra maximum energy basically is the core one you definitely do want at max roll. Then we have a Healthy Mind, which could be used in different spots. But this one is the easiest, where it's just active, and yeah. There are other spots where you can then go with like live tattoos and stuff like that, but yeah, I didn't bother. So yeah. Then what else do we have? We have Iron Will, which is good. Yeah, here we still see I have these elemental nodes for reducing the elemental damage. Like if I did take those out. What else? There's something. There's a note somewhere. Probably this one. We get 6 points. We put the intensity here, and then we take these 4. So then we get more mana, more AS, but we are not reflect immune anymore. But this mostly was for like risk farming and stuff like that, where we really don't need to be reflect immune. But like that's one of the changes I would make to the character on the fly when I needed them. So there are a lot of options where you just can show your skill expression by changing around the skill tree. We have a Corrupted Blood immunity jewel here. We have mana nodes here. This one actually is very strong due to the Light of Meaning, because it gives it +5 mana as well. It's very, very cool. And then we run Pain Attunement here, very important. Talked about that one already. We have the Arcane Surge nodes here. We have Recover 5% of energy shield over 1 second when you take physical damage. Very strong defense, very cool node. A very cool mastery, because this one does actually stack. So when 10 enemies hit, you get tons of energy regeneration. And we have Zealous Oath for obvious reasons. We have the Shield Mastery. We have a cluster with Scintillating Idea, Widespread Destruction, and Storm Drinker. On a trade, you would probably want Storm Drinker here, and then skip the last 2 nodes. I need Storm Drinker because I dropped Light Eater for Leech, but I did want some form of Leech because it's just very, very helpful. But in the trade environment, you would Storm Drinker and Scintillating Idea in the first 2 slots and would gain 2 skill points from that for the passive point, for the Jewel Socket, something I like. Also, one of the big changes I would make in trade is get blocked through other means. Like get a shield with more block, or get Lesser Jewels with block, or something in that direction to get rid of Glancing Blows, because Glancing Blows sucks ass. But I had no way of getting around Glancing Blows, sadly. But yeah, it's just so bad. Like, I really don't like Glancing Blows, but it wasn't the best way. I had this character would be way more tanky without Glancing Blows. I'm not sure if this actually shows here, but if we put in and then take out Glancing Blows, you actually see, yeah, we like our hit pool, effective hit pool would skyrocket. So yeah, you kinda would really want to run block in a trade scenario. You could actually run roomies even if you want to run a 3-slot mage blood or something like that, and roomies would be very good as well. Especially because it's an armor class too, but yeah, you would want to block cap without glancing blows, which might be a bit more difficult, but you have access to a lot of spell block up here, so you could put in a bit more through these, and yeah, these don't really work well, but yeah, you could get some more block. You could probably run a Maven Jewel for some block nodes or something. I'm actually not sure because, well, I didn't have access to it. But you probably have options for block without glancing blows, and you should really go for them in trade. And that's pretty much the entire thing here, I do think. Is there anything I missed? Pantheons, we run sort of Lunaris and Hugel for crit. I was running Relicash a lot. I was running Aberath for burning immunity when running Exarch. I was running Brine King when I did not have the boots yet. So yeah, there you can just pick whatever you like. Generally, as said, Relicash is good, Aberath is good, Hugel is good. Lots of good options. I did talk about this, I did talk about that, everything. I do think this video already is very long. So I do think we are concluding here. If there actually is something I missed for some reason, I didn't talk about the Ascendancy. We are picking Divine Guidance, Sanctuary of Thought, Conviction of Power, and Arcane Blessing. And actually something very important in trade, you would want to pick up Righteous Providence, because this would fix all of the issues for crit. I currently have to invest a lot into crit, and you could forego most of that with just Righteous Providence. And I mean, these I do think are kind of expensive, but if you want to run trade, you should be able to get these at some point. So Righteous Providence is very, very, very good. Oh, I'm sorry. And yeah, that's it, I do think. Like, Righteous Providence solves so many issues of the character. But yeah, Divine Guidance, Sanctuary of Thought, Conviction of Power, and Arcane Blessing, very strong nodes. And there really is not much about it. If you're running a lot of Ether altars, you could run, like, take out of Conviction of Power. I did just put into mana nodes, I do think, or something. Or did I even put it anywhere? I don't even remember. But I did take out Conviction of Power when running Ether, because the minus charge, or the reduced defense for endurance charges, or reduced regeneration, no, it was reduced regeneration for endurance charges, was messing with me a lot when running Ether, so I did take out Conviction of Power there. But overall, the other nodes aren't all that great. Illuminated Devotion is, like, really not that good. So yeah, you kind of don't have great choices, because all of these are kind of bad. Son of Purpose is usable for brands, but the brands really only are for boss damage, and then you kind of want to run Conviction of Power, except if you're running like Eldritch Altars in tier 17 or something, then you probably want Sign of Purpose. But yeah, there are some options. Yeah, there are some options. Point. Period. Whatever. But yeah, as I said, if there's something I did miss, and I know this was a very long video, and probably most of you didn't watch until this point, but if you did, I say thanks for watching, and sorry for being so, well, jumpy in this one, because I just haven't played a whole lot in the last week, and, well, have to take a look at the character and look at, well, what did I actually do here, so yeah. But thanks for watching, and if you managed to survive until this point, feel free to drop a comment and let me know of what you think about the character, or if you have tried it and tested it, and how you like it. And feel free to drop click the like button. I can't talk today, I just came from night shift, I'm sorry. But yeah, let's conclude it here. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.